Most likely, no one is watching you at this very moment. But if they wanted to, they could find out absolutely everything about you. Which pages you visit, where you go, what you listen to, who broke your heart, and what color the insulating tape was on that bookmark. Today, I'll talk about how the FSB, CIA, NSA, and even the SBU spy on people and why they do it. We'll discuss their methods, which until recently would have been considered science fiction, and also try to find out if it's possible to hide from them. You give me a like and subscribe, and I'll give you a story about how intelligence agencies can get inside your head and your soul. And remember, perhaps pigeons are not at all what they seem. Spying on people wasn't invented in 2013, although that's when numerous stories about mass surveillance of people worldwide came to light. As far back as 500 BC, Sun Tzu devoted significant attention to spies in his treatise, The Art of War, considering them a key element to achieving victory. Every state cultivates spies, whom it nobly calls intelligence officers. However, every state also tries to find other countries' intelligence officers within its own borders, whom it disdainfully calls spies. The state creates agencies tasked with finding spies who want to get their hands on classified information. The state endows them with almost divine power, allocates enormous budgets for cutting-edge technology, and for long, complex operations. Throughout history, there have been people who pondered and asked uncomfortable questions. For example, if our intelligence agency can wiretap phones and find spies, what's to stop them from monitoring everyone else? At different times and in different countries, asking such a question could yield different results. A lobotomy session, a ticket to the front row of the Bellamore Canal construction, or a good old-fashioned firing squad. For a long time, this line of thinking remained within the realm of conspiracy theorists and other unhinged marginal figures until 2013, when a young man with glasses and a nervous smile burst onto the world media stage and forever changed our perception of the world. People have different opinions about Edward Snowden, and since 2022, you can even mock him because he obtained Russian citizenship. Or you can simply admit it, this guy broke the fourth wall of global surveillance, and he did it with style. A former CIA and NSA employee. It already sounds like a movie teaser. But this isn't a movie, this is reality. The NSA, National Security Agency, the CIA, Central Intelligence Agency. Both structures were supposed to be hunting enemy agents, but instead, they decided, why not rummage through the digital laundry of our own population? Snowden's life was great. He lived in Hawaii, worked as a sysadmin, meaning he had access where mere mortals couldn't go. Specifically, to the PRISM surveillance program, a program that methodically sucked data from the private lives of US citizens. Without a knock, without a warrant, without a, hello, we're from the NSA. In fact, according to the legend, this is precisely what caused Snowden's internal conflict, because the system that was supposed to be calculating Chinese or Russian spies started monitoring John from Texas, who was just Googling how to grow chili peppers. Conscience turned out to be stronger than an NDA. Snowden copies thousands of secret documents and hands them over to journalists from The Guardian and The Washington Post, thereby showing the world that we are all living in a reality show, with the difference that we didn't even know we were being filmed. One of the slides published by The Guardian showed the NSA has direct access to the servers of Microsoft, Google, and Meta. Yes, those very same companies that talk about privacy in videos with a Coldplay soundtrack. In reality, these companies didn't put up much of a fight for people's privacy and handed over data at the first request. PRISM is a digital backdoor into your life. Photos, messages, videos, documents, contacts, everything you ever saved, uploaded, sent, or even just thought about writing was handed directly to the intelligence agencies. And you didn't have to be a criminal. You could be an accountant from Vilnius or a gamer from Edinburgh. That's enough. The algorithms don't care what you are. They collect everything, just in case you become interesting later. But that's not all. Thanks to Snowden, the world learned about the X-Keyscore program. This is a super powerful NSA tool that allowed them to search and analyze the information they needed in huge volumes of internet traffic. But PRISM is just the tip of the iceberg. The real game changer was the X-Keyscore program. It allowed the NSA to search and analyze the information they needed in real time within massive volumes of internet traffic. Email, chats, browsing history, search queries, everything. Without a court order, without warning, without days off. It sounds like an artistic exaggeration, but this program essentially allowed agents to access any account, from an average Joe, to a judge, a prosecutor, or even a president. But that's still not all. The Snowden documents revealed another program called Tempora. In short, it intercepted traffic passing through the fiber optic cables connecting different continents. Letters, calls, and other data, everything that passed through these highways could end up in the hands of intelligence agencies. And of course, it did. In March 2013 alone, the NSA collected about 97 billion electronic data points worldwide, including those of ordinary internet users in Europe. The official version, the programs help prevent numerous crimes. The unofficial version, just sit tight quietly and don't ask questions. As usual, the story ended with no real consequences. The intelligence agencies got a slap on the wrist and a lesson to act more carefully and not get caught so blatantly next time. Of course, the scale of spying shocked everyone. Even conspiracy theorists couldn't believe their eyes. The leadership of the US intelligence agencies stated that they were acting in the interests of national security and that all these programs helped prevent numerous crimes. However, some changes did occur. In 2015, the USA Freedom Act was passed, a law that supposedly prohibits intelligence agencies from conducting electronic surveillance of American citizens. Willingly, preferably, with the microphone off and the camera covered. When people talk about the future and the concept of cyborgs, they often don't realize that this future has already happened. Each of us has a new organ without which we can't imagine our own lives. Its absence causes panic. Life without it becomes hell and gets dozens of times more complicated. It is an extension of our hand and an addition to our brain, and this is one of those cases where you can say the spy is in your pants. We are talking, of course, about smartphones. Heard anything about the Pegasus software? It can remotely and stealthily hack smartphones, both iPhone and Android. Pegasus's principle of operation provides complete hidden control. It reads all messages, even in encrypted messengers, transmits contacts, photos, emails, can intercept phone calls, and even quietly activate the microphone and camera, turning you into a bug under a microscope. On paper, Pegasus is purchased by government structures to fight crime and terrorism. In reality, it's a digital baton for journalists, human rights defenders, opposition figures, and leaders of disfavored states. In 2020, investigative journalists obtained a leak, a database of more than 50,000 phone numbers, a list of people who could have been monitored. Amnesty and Citizen Lab tested some smartphones from the list. In 37 out of 67 cases, a hack or at least an attempt was confirmed. In 2021, the Pegasus program was used to hack the phone of Princess Latifah, the daughter of the ruler of Dubai, when she tried to flee the country. She was caught in international waters near the coast of India and returned home. There are hundreds of such stories. Mexican journalists, Hungarian reporters, Indian opposition figures, all of them became targets of software code purchased by their own governments. The price of the issue is millions of dollars, but for authoritarian regimes, it's pocket change. However, there are much cheaper tools that also serve totalitarian regimes. For example, the IMSI catcher. This is a special device, an antenna that masquerades as a cell tower and forces nearby phones to connect to it. Thus, intelligence agencies can gather information about all phones in an area, for instance, at a protest site or near a secret facility. Subsequently, using these IDs, they can via the mobile operator ascertain the owner's name, address, call history, and much more. Such a device can be purchased for a few $1,000s, but there are instructions online for building a similar phone catcher yourself for just $10. During the Revolution of Dignity in Kyiv, Ukrainian security forces, with the support of Russian specialists, most likely deployed these catchers to intimidate protesters. On January 22, 2014, thousands of protest participants simultaneously received an SMS. "Dear subscriber, you have been registered as a participant in mass riots." Fortunately, people ignored these threats at the time and toppled the regime. Your smartphone is a concentration of private information, making it a constant target. They can access this information in various ways, through direct coercion of companies, covert signal interception, hacking, or via a virus. But there's an even simpler way. When you find yourself in police custody and they are interested in your phone's contents, they will politely ask you to enter your password, and you will enter it. Corporations are not your friends, and as soon as a request comes in, they will sell you out completely, without a second thought. They swear they do not cooperate with intelligence agencies. But let's be honest, morality for corporations is just a bullet point in a PR strategy. After Snowden, their rhetoric changed somewhat. Google, Facebook, Microsoft started making excuses, But we only do it with a court order, we promise. Companies are obligated to help intelligence agencies search for extremists, people traffickers, and also those who decided to download a series via torrent. Russia went further. They have the Yarovaya law, which requires storing all user data within the country. In 2022, when documents from Roskomnadzor were leaked, it turned out they not only block memes, but also monitor social networks and news sites, compiling profiles of people and organizations that criticize the authorities. Roskomnadzor created a secret system that tracks centers of tension, meaning calls for protests, anti-government posts, and identifies the administrators of anonymous accounts, after which it transfers detailed dossiers to the FSB and police. There's nothing surprising here, as it's another one of those sacred pillars, to inform on your neighbor and then watch with a smile as their door is being cut open with an angle grinder. For years, the FSB has been pressuring messengers, demanding access to user data. In 2018, they tried to pressure Telegram, demanding the handover of encryption keys, but were refused. The story is quite strange. The Russian authorities announced the blocking of Telegram, but later quietly forgot about it. You can write your thoughts about Telegram in the comments. Some believe they backed off precisely because they finally cracked down on it, and Pavel gave everyone up, passwords and all. We must also mention Pavel Durov's former project, the Vkontakte website, the largest social network in Russia. Now half of its users are FSB officers looking for someone to imprison for a meme with Putin. In December 2013, Durov received a letter from the FSB demanding he provide the personal data of the organizers of the Ukrainian Euromaidan community on the site. He refused, and it is said that this refusal cost him his position and his company. Durov was forced to sell his shares and step down as CEO, and the network itself was taken over by entrepreneurs loyal to the Kremlin. Since then, this social network has been a place where only content loyal to the authorities is published. Now this website is the largest donor of court cases. The statistics are through the roof, just like Putin's painted ratings. After the authorities gained full access to users' personal data, 20,000 administrative cases and another 500 criminal cases were opened. Although with a population of 140 million, it doesn't sound as scary. People in RF have always learned to remain silent, not post anything, and not stick out, so nothing bad happens. In 2017, conspiracy theorists worldwide celebrated a triumph once again. A massive trove of secret CIA materials was published under the general name Vault 7. Nearly 10,000 documents and files from the internal network of the CIA's Cyber Intelligence Center were leaked online. One of the most chilling tools described in Vault 7 is a project codenamed Weeping Angel. It's a joint development by CIA hackers and British intelligence designed to infect smart and popular Samsung TVs. The virus infected the smart TV, then switched it to a special mode. The TV appeared to be off, but the device was operational and recording audio. By the way, the name Weeping Angel comes from monsters from the Doctor Who series, who pretended to be statues when looked at and came to life when looked away. Moving on. The CIA created a malware suite codenamed Brutal Kangaroo for hacking isolated computers via a chain of USB drives. The scheme is as follows. First, a regular computer with internet access is infected. This can happen through an open file, a link, or even a remote hack. This patient zero computer serves as a beachhead. When an employee of the target organization inserts a USB flash drive into the infected computer, spyware is stealthily installed on the flash drive. When it is later connected to a computer without internet, for example, to a secret server on an isolated network, the virus activates and infects that closed system. It remains undetected, takes file snapshots, copies data, and records keystrokes. The gathered information is then sent out in portions through the same chain, the next time the flash drive is connected to a computer with internet access. Vault 7 showed that the CIA had a tool for practically every modern device or system. They could get into any smartphone from any company. Even cars weren't overlooked. In October 2014, the CIA discussed possibilities for hacking the computers of modern cars and trucks. Why? It's not stated directly, but one can guess. Imagine what you can do with a car that is controlled remotely. Of course, it can be turned into a weapon against its owner or against other people on the road. The Vault 7 leak was a wake-up call not only because it revealed the CIA's capabilities, but also because the leak itself proved that control over cyber weapons is ephemeral and unmanageable. Hundreds of viruses, exploits, backdoors, and there they lie on servers somewhere, accessed by dozens of people. It takes one disgruntled or bribed employee to copy the archive, and anyone can get these codes. That's essentially what happened. Some hackers quickly took advantage of the leaks. Viruses appeared that were compilations of code parts from Vault 7. For example, the famous Trojan bank bot, which stole money from accounts in 2017, used modules identical to those described in the CIA leaks. This highlights an even greater risk. Cyber weapons, unlike nuclear ones, spread instantly. The conclusion is simple. If a smartphone is nearby, any of your conversations can theoretically be recorded and used for various purposes. You've probably noticed how ads change when you talk about certain things, so don't be surprised if after this video, lawyer services start appearing in your ads. In the early 2000s, the NSA received unprecedented funding and authority for data collection under the slogan, "Never again miss a threat." The US government still insists such tools are needed to quickly connect the pieces of intelligence data and identify terrorists or hostile agents amidst the general noise. But the FSB and RF also justifies the total digital gulag by fighting extremism and human trafficking, although in fact it is turned into a tool for suppressing anyone who is even slightly dissatisfied with the authorities. With all these tools, the government can compile a dossier on anyone without leaving the office. Find out their social circle, favorite websites, places they visit, political preferences, and absolutely anything. Digital surveillance allows for the tactic of targeted repression. The authorities don't need to hose everyone down. It's enough to identify the organizers and active dissenters and isolate or repress them. The irony is that this is a topic where democratic countries differ little from totalitarian ones. Formally, there are laws prohibiting surveillance of citizens without a court order, but the leaks show otherwise. This affects society in an interesting way. The knowledge of possible surveillance creates an effect. People start self-censoring, being afraid to search for things online or discuss openly in private conversations if they think they might be listened to. People have developed a kind of fatalism, which can be characterized as, "I have nothing to hide, and besides, they already know everything about everyone." This is also dangerous because it gradually normalizes what until recently was considered wild conspiracy theory. Remember, Big Brother is not only watching, he is recording and analyzing. As for me, I analyze which topics interest you and which don't. And I don't need to access your phone for that. I suggest you write in the comments what the next video should be about. Thanks for watching. See you again soon. Maybe.